This is a weird position to be in on a cricket field.
This is the last knock. My dad told me to say this.
Lying out of your crease, one foot towards gully, the other at the stumps, in a, drunk yoga pose, looking back at the broken thing behind you. To get in a position like this, a lot of things have to happen. And they did. This is an arguably impossible position to have your feet aiming. It's as if these are two different legs photoshopped together. Or perhaps this is a fight between independent legs. It kind of looks like one is about to sweep the other one to the ground. Unless you just think I've just picked one or two embarrassing images of Marnus Labuschagne's dismissal. There are so many. How about this one? This is some cricket parody of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. But I want to take it back a moment to the over before that Stuart Broad bowled to Marnus Labuschagne, when Marnus Labuschagne did not end up falling on his face while being bowled by Stuart Broad. In the first ball of that over, you see something quite clear. Labuschagne has moved way across his stumps. There is batting on off stump, there is having a trigger movement that moves you across, and there is moving so far across that not even your squatting ass can cover leg stump. This is an extreme position to be in during a test match on a pitch that's seaming around. And after surviving a drop, another one, Labuschagne was batting really well. The pitch had settled down after the initial sideways help, the ball seemed to be softening, and Travis Head was whacking them at the other end. There was seemingly no reason for Labuschagne to get into this position as the ball's being bowled. Now, if he was doing this every ball, you could say that he had a tactic that worked right up until the moment he fell on his face. But that's not actually what Labuschagne was doing at all. This is the ball after the one I just showed you. Labuschagne has done two things here. The first is taken a step and a half down the wicket, like, Dean Jones in a 90s ODI. That in itself is quite weird in the first session when the ball's nipping about. But his step and a half was also brought him to outside leg stump. In two balls in this over, he showed his entire stumps on two different sides of his body. I don't fully know how to process that. The level of risk he was taking here was really quite bizarre. Australia were 12 for 3, and he had taken them to 79 for 3. England went from bowling well to spraying it around, losing their tactics and getting lost. Now that said, the aggressive style for Marnus Labuschagne had served him well. But this is beyond aggressive, isn't it? It's reckless. And yet the rest of that over was pretty chill, a collection of normal positions for Labuschagne to find himself in. So it's really just those first two balls that were odd, and then he settled down. Of course, until he faced the first ball of the next over from Stuart Broad and he fell down. And I went back to look at earlier as well when he faced an over of Ollie Robertson, who bowled incredibly to him, landing the ball in the same spot with balls that went in, out and straight. And here is Labuschagne playing all six of them. You can see that in all of them he's moved across a little bit, and a few you could see his leg stump, and in others you can't. But it's fairly normal, modern, Steve Smith inspired off stump batting. And in this over, Labuschagne was dropped once and also beaten. So what changed in his batting? Because this doesn't look like this. The first one is Robertson in his good over, and the second one is Broad when he bowled him. You can see several differences. Look at where the bats are. One is straight up, and the other is coming from slip. There seems to be a change with the body position as well, with Labuschagne being more squatted. Then there's the feet. They are lined up fairly straight in the first ball, and they're completely open by the second. And there's his general position. His back foot is now way wide of off stump after being on it for the Robertson ball. But while that was the wicket ball, you can also see the same pattern in a delivery earlier from Stokes when he was attacking. It's just for Broad at that moment, the bat is even more angled and the back foot is even wider and his squat is even squattier. So the real question is why he started getting into such exaggerated positions pre-ball for the two balls in that over and then the one he was eventually bowled on and fell on his face. And I honestly don't know the answer to that. I know he was attacking more, but this seems like a weird position to get in to attack anyway. And you can see he simply steps across the ball. It hasn't pitched yet and he's already played for a cover drive. And this is a bit like the Rory Burns dismissal to Mitchell Starc at the start of the Ashes. And at this point, he suddenly realises, he's in the shit. So he tries to play a shot from where he finds himself. And he ends up just in a weird position. Like in a 1950s Hollywood musical, Dancing with a Cane. And from that position, like anyone, he's just nowhere near this. And obviously misses it. Gets bowled. And bowled over. Yeah, that works. The best bit is we assumed he slipped. But when you look at the footage, he doesn't. Look at his feet, they are both solidly on the floor with their spikes. In fact, even as he is bowled, his feet are still quite solid on the ground. But because his head falls over so much, and his legs are barely related to each other at this point, he just topples. He's also trying to turn around behind him, because he has to even see the ball. Then he has to turn around even further to see whether he has been bowled, which of course he has. And then he fell. It's just glorious madness from one of the oddest in the game. And that this all happened to a man who's made so many runs in the last few years just makes the entire thing much better. This isn't some tail ender. This is the bloke making bowlers look silly for a decent period now. And this is also him right on his face. To be fair to him though, off the field, he played it far better.